everybody, my name is Tearlament3639. Welcome back to another video. Today in this one is going to be another deck profile video, and in this one I'll be showing off my P.U.N.K Terror Element Zombie deck. Yes, you heard that correctly. We're playing zombies in this deck as well. I went to El Paso this past weekend to play in TCG's Battleground Spike Core tournament. Ended up getting second place with this deck, and trust me, this deck is very, very good. It has a lot of things going for it. I feel like Terror Elements itself is one of the best decks in the format, and I feel like the P.U.N.K version is so good as well. And like I said at the beginning, we are playing zombies in this deck as well. So without further ado, nothing else to explain, just I went to El Paso and did well with it. Let's get into the deck profiles, shall we? Quickly move everything. We're going to start off with our P.U.N.K engine here. We got the 3 Zay Admin, and then we got the 3 Foxy Tune, and then of course the 1 Deerno. This is my engine for the P.U.N.K engine. We are playing E-Telly, but we will get to that once we get to the spells. But this is a very good engine itself. Foxy Tune is absolutely MVP. Zay Admin, you have so many ways to summon it through Foxy or through like emergency teleport and stuff like that. Also, just hard drawing it works as well. And of course, the Deerno, just so you have reoccursion for your P.U.N.K monsters as well. Obviously, we're trying to make for a Chaos Ruler with this card. But just because if we like hard draw like the Foxy Tune, doesn't mean we're out of the woods yet, because something like the Terror Element Kit, Kitalos in the extra deck is a level 5, so this does get you into more plays and stuff like that. Very, very good engine to start us off, but I think everyone kind of knows about the P.U.N.K engine, so I won't go too much into it. Not playing the Org Dancer because don't really need the Org Dancer, don't need a reason why to search like the Zen Admin, and I don't need Darks because all the Terror Elements are Darks, so don't really need to play that. Now with the Terror Elements, we are playing 3 Terror Element Sharon. Now I will be going one by one with the Terror Elements. We're playing Sharon because not only is it a special summon, it's a send from hand to graveyard a monster. So if you draw some of your bricks or even a Terror Element monster, you can send that. And then a mill 3 as well. This deck is specifically trying to mill out its deck a lot because you're trying to see a lot of things in your deck so you can get your end board going. Very, very good card for the deck. 3 Terror Element Merely. Again, this is just another mill 3 when it's normal or special, mill 3. And then this you really don't want to like normal summon or anything. You really want to, mill it and then, Kitalo special summon it itself out and get a free mill 8 off those cards. Very, very good. And then, of course, we're playing 3 of all of them are of the Terror Elements because when they're milled, they can fusion summon, and we are milling a lot in this deck. So you kind of want to see the most Terror Elements just so you can get the fusion summons going. We got 3 Terror Element Hoffins as well. Again, not only are you using it for its fusion summon effect, but you're also using it as a sort of hand trap as well. If you're going second, just having this card to get a special and mill 3. Even like if you pass it back and you end up drawing it for turn, this is still something you do have to worry about just because it does mill 3 and this deck has a lot of things going in its mill. So very, very good. And the last Terror Element card here, we got Terror Element Rhino Heart. Rhino Heart being a very good card. I feel like this card is very underrated, but I do understand why people do play it at 1 because I feel like 3 is too much, but I feel like there might be something going with 2 of them because this card is very, very good. But it is searchable through a lot of cards in the deck, so having it just as a searchable and then having it as a normal summon to start your plays going is good as well. But that's it for our Terror Element monster package here. And I do like to keep things organized. Now on to our zombie engine. Like I did mention, we are playing the zombie engine in this package. So we are playing 3 Mizuki. We are playing 2 Uni-Zombie, 1 Plague Spreader, and then the 1 Chang-Shi, the Spiritorado. Now, absolutely not that big of an engine. Maybe people might play 3 Uni. I think 2 is perfectly fine because Uni is somewhat of a brick in this deck. You'd rather mill it than draw it. But again, the main bricks in your zombie engine here is the Chang-Shi and the 3 Mizukis. I think you're fine with drawing these if you have your normal summon preserved. These are fine normal summons. But Chang-Shi and the 3 Mizukis really are bricks, especially Chang-Shi. Never want to see this card in hand, but we are playing this because we can banish this off Chaos Ruler and then summon it back off Chaos Ruler because of its effect. When it gets banished, you can just banish the zombie from the graveyard, special summon this card out, and then it has a mill to just have a Foolish Burial of a Zombie as well, which is insane. A level 6 as well, which does come up for synchros as well. So that's it for our zombie package. We do have one more monster in the main deck here, and that is Fairy Tale Snow. We are milling a lot, so it does make sense to have this in your deck just to play around, you know, not only having a good end board, but having ways to, you know, just in case they do break it, having the snow in rotation. So that is it for the entire monsters. Now on to the spells and traps here. We're going to start off with our Boardbreaker spell cards here. We're not playing hand traps, as you can see from the monster lineup. So we're playing 3 Super Poly and 3 Dark Ruler, no more. As you can see, not that much, because you are trying to focus on milling a lot and consistency, that you're not having that much room for like board breakers and stuff like that. But I feel like these are probably the best 2 in the format. Maybe you can say Droplet over Super Poly, but the reason why I don't like that is because a lot of people are prepared to get Dark Ruler or something like that, so they have things in their hand and in the back row where you do have to play around it. So Droplet, I don't think is necessarily that good, wasting your hand advantage and then still getting stopped by like cards in hand in the back row. So I decided to go with Super Poly instead. It does go -2, but at least you're getting a monster out of it, is what I was thinking. And it did come up a lot in the tournament itself. And then, of course, Dark Ruler just being one of the best board breakers in the tournament. Triple Tactics might be another thing you want to consider in this deck because it is very good. But those are the 2 I decided to go with there. Next thing up for the spells and traps, we are playing 3 Emergency Teleport. Again, just to go with the P.U.N.K engine. Why is this card at 3? It should be at 1. This card is absolutely insane. Should be limited. It might get limited next list, but who knows? This card absolutely insane. Just a freeze, then admin out of it. Very, very good card just for consistency. Next thing up, we're playing 3 Field Spell. Now, I am only having 2, but you probably should be playing 3. I just don't have the 3rd one on me yet, but 2 of them is nice. This Field Spell is very insane. Not only is it a Rota for the deck, it also is a Destruction, and it gains attack for your Fusions and Terra Element monsters. Very, very good Field Spell for this archetype. So for the 1 Field Spell I don't have, I'm just playing Terraforming instead. Or you probably should be playing 3 and Terraforming, but again, I don't have 3, so just 2 in the Terraforming does work for me. There we go. And then we got one more spell here, and that, of course, is Instant Fusion. Again, you can summon Katalis off this, and that's why it's very good, because Katalis doesn't care if it's fusion summoned or anything like that, but this does fusion summon, so that doesn't really matter. But Katalis, this is a free Katalis, so this is why you're playing it in this deck. And the last thing up, we are playing a 40-card deck, so we have 2 more cards to go through, and they're both traps. We are playing Terra Element Crime and Terra Element Solic. Very, very good traps for the Terra Element archetype. We're playing Terra Element Crime because it is a Omni-Negate encounter trap form as long as you control a Terra Element monster, and you can send a monster from hand to grave, which is not hard at all in this deck. And this is searchable, so playing around like Dark Ruler No More or Droplet is always going to be nice, and why you're setting up on a big board and then ending with this in your back row is always nice, because that means just your back or your end board is very much protected, and they're going to have to do a lot just to break your board, let alone kill you through it. But we are playing Solic for a couple of reasons. We're playing it because its mill effect is absolutely insane, and also its negation on field is good as well. But another thing is that Solic is, if just in case we mill Crime, we actually just have Solic as the backup option as well. That's why I'm playing 2 traps instead of just 1. Just in case we mill 1, we always got the other in a rotation, so we just if you mill both of them, you're just a very unlucky man. But that didn't happen to me today, or in the tournament, because I always had one of them in a rotation. They're both very good. I like the counter trap more just to protect your board, but Solic is nice, especially with the field spell, to make sure you can fusion summon and stuff like that. So that is it for the entire main deck here. Now on to the extra deck here. We're going to go ahead and start off with the fusions here. We are playing 2 Katalis. Again, one of the best fusions in the Terra Element archetype. When it is special summoned by any means, again, either add or Foolish Burial a Terra Element card. This is how you're searching your traps in Terra Element Crime or Solic, but that Foolish does come up, especially if you fusion summon it during your opponent's turn. That will come up a lot. You do have to play 2, because if you have to use a kit to go into kit, that you just need to play 2 for that reason. But it's a very, very good card that you do need to play. We are playing 1 Kaleido Heart. It is interesting because we are only playing 1 Rhino Heart in the main deck, so it doesn't come up that much. But I feel like once this is out on the field, it's very, very hard to break the opponent, or the opponent for you to, or trying to speak English here. Very hard for them to out this card, because if they sense it by a card effect, it just comes back and you get a fusion summon out of it, which is very, very good. Absolutely insane card, and we are playing side deck cards to fulfill this requirement as well, but we'll get to that once we get to the side deck. We're playing a Dragostapelio. Again, this is a very much just a staple in any Terra Element deck you are playing, but we can't play 2. I wish we could, but we're only playing just the 1 of this because of how tight the extra deck is. And it is a Super Polytarch, so you do have to remember that as well. And then we're playing 1 Garura Wings of Resident Life. Now, this card was specifically for Super Poly. I was testing in El Paso with, but this card comes up a lot more than just Super Poly. You can hard make this with any of the Terra Element monsters, which is very, very good, and being a level 6, if you have like a Uni on field that's level 4, go into a Synchro 10 and stuff like that. Also chain blocks, if you go into like a Hulk, you get to free draw 1 and chain blocks that Hulk, which is very, very nice. Also helps us with one of our side deck cards as well. The card came up so much in El Paso. I'm so glad I did play this over Winda, which I was playing before, but decided to cut instead. Next thing up is our Link monsters. We're playing Hulk. Hulk is absolutely insane in this deck. You have so many ways to attune her, and then this gets you access to basically the zombie engine. If you don't have like Uni at a rotation yet, gets you into a Uni, link it to Grave, and you already have Mizuki in Grave. You can just get your zombie line that way. We are playing 1 IP Masquerena. Very, very tempted to cut this card, but we do need another Link 2 in this deck, so I did decide just to opt for IP Masquerena there. It didn't really come up ever in the tournament. I just needed it as a Link 2 monster, so this can be like a Nightmare Phoenix instead, and it would work the same thing. But this is just in case you get Nibiru'd, you have a way to set up IP and then have a Unicorn play during your opponent's turn. But really something you might want to consider cutting in this deck. We're playing Nightmare Unicorn as well because Unicorn is absolutely insane. And of course, we're playing Access Code Talker to go with it as well because Nightmare into Access is always going to be good for this deck. We're playing 1 Apollousa as well. This card did come up a lot, but the only problem with it right now is it does die to something like Super Poly and Ghost Org, which is seeing play in this format, especially Super Poly because you are ending on a Baron as well. So them being able to Super Poly Baron and Apo into a Mud Dragon is absolutely nuts. So sometimes Apo comes at a disadvantage and you want to play IP or something instead. But I feel like it just depends on what the matchup you're playing. I did verse Despia quite a lot in El Paso, so, their main deck in Super Poly. I could have played around it by making IP instead. Make sure I use that Baron Negate and then go into Apo. But just ways to play around and make sure, again, still somewhat learning this deck as well. Alrighty, so that is it for the Link monsters here. Now on to the Synchro monsters. We're playing 1 Chaos Roller. Again, we're playing the P.U.N.K package. This is basically mill 5, and it can come back, and it supports the zombie stuff as well. So very, very good card. We're playing Borreload Savage Dragon. Again, you can make this in this deck. Having the Omni Negate is always nice. We have the Baron de Fleur. Again, just the Omni Negate will always be nice, and you can very easily make this in this deck. And then, of course, the last Synchro monster we are playing is the Sword Soul, and this is a little bit off camera, so I'm just going to combine these together. Is the Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign. Again, this only matters if you're versing like a deck that likes to banish a lot. Something like Outleach I did verse, so just instead of making Baron go into a Sword Soul Sovereign play and just making sure their Outleach traps are basically offline, because if they do, I can just banish it off their field, especially if Outleach is in graveyard. Again, does come up, especially if you're going second. This can come up for OTK reasons as well. But that's all the Synchros we're playing in this deck. And then, of course, the last extra deck card is an XYZ monster. We are playing the Zombie Vampire. This comes up because you do want to mill a lot in this deck, so having another way to mill is nice. But the reason why I kind of like this card a lot is just to get that knowledge if you're going first. Just get that knowledge on what your opponent is playing. Very much determines what your end board is. Even if you mill like their terror elements and you trigger their effects, which does suck, but I feel like just to figure out what deck they're on and to assemble what your end board's going to be, I feel like having this in the extra deck is nice as well. That is it for the extra deck. Now onto the side deck I was playing. Now, the side deck isn't, like, this is mostly just whatever you want it to be. This is the side deck I decided to go into El Paso. I decided last second to play DD Crow because I feel like this is one of the best hand traps in the format. Would I play it for something else? Maybe put Talents in instead. That's, like, the only other one I can think of off the top of my head, especially for, like, a going first strategy, but I feel like DD Crow is good enough to side deck in your deck right now. Very, very good card in this meta and absolutely should be worth playing. Does come up. I versed Despia 3 times out of the 7 rounds I played in El Paso, so DD Crow did come up a lot there. Next thing up is 2 King of the Swamp and 2 Polymerization. Again, this is just so you have that access to the play. And honorable, or one more side deck card that goes along my side with this is Guardian Chimera. So just playing this as a going second engine, being able to, King of the Swamp getting into a Kaleido Heart in the extra deck is the reason why I'm playing Kaleido Heart right now. And then just to make Chimera during your opponent's turn when they're not expecting it, especially in this deck, which is combo heavy, and then they go first, pass it back to you, and then you have a Guardian Chimera play, is always nice. Don't know how good this is necessarily. Like, this is good, but I don't know if siding in Chimera is great. I did side it in, but didn't really come up much. Maybe because I'm only playing 2 of the Poly and King of the Swamp. But I feel like it is decent enough, and just to take out an extra deck monster is kind of nice as well. Taking out like something like Garura if you're playing like a Super Poly or playing a deck that doesn't get hit by Super Poly, putting this instead is nice. The next side deck card here is Ultimate Slayer. Holy fuck, this card is absolutely insane. I'm surprised how cheap it is, to be honest with you. This card is very, very insane. Came up a lot. Again, I versed Despia a lot, so it did come up. This card is good. Against Sprite, it isn't that great. I can see why you don't want to play it against Sprite, but holy fuck, this card is absolutely insane against any fusion deck, especially when you're playing Garura to get a free draw off of it as well. But again, this card is very good, especially in this extra deck where you're playing literally everything. In the extra deck, you're playing a fusion, you're playing Synchro, you're playing Link and an XYZ monster. So you basically have this live at all times except for Pendulum, I guess. But like, you're never going to verse Pendulum. Let's be honest there. So this card is very, very good. Next thing up is 3 Twin Twister and the Red Reboot as well. Again, 3 Twin Twisters just because Mystic Mind is prevalent in this format. So if you verse Mystic Mind like I did, I versed Striker. They won game 1, game 2, game 3. I sided in Twisters and basically decided the game because I didn't really care about Mystic Mind at that point. But very, very good. And then the Red Reboot because, of course, Outreach is always going to be a deck and something you do have to worry about. And Red Reboot absolutely just kills them. Like, you just activate this on them, they basically just lose the game. So very, very good. And that was my side deck. But again, your side deck could be whatever you want it to be. I would consider not King of the Swamp. I would consider Triple Tactic Talent. I feel like that card is very, very good, especially just going first or going second. So I would consider that card in the deck. But very good overall. That was my second place list. Now let's get into some combos with the deck. I know I've been talking a lot about it, so let's see the end board for this deck. Alrighty, now on to the combo portion of the video here. So this is a typical hand you might get from the deck here. And we're just going to act like we're going first and assume we're going to play against no negation. This deck does have a good time playing through stuff. But again, this is just to show you what the deck can do. And we did switch to Dueling Book because my phone's about to die. So yeah, so that's why we're going to switch to Dueling Book. I would have done it on my phone, but my phone's at 5%. So, that's just me not charging my phone. So without further ado, let's get into the combo here. So we're going to start off with Emergency Teleport. It sucks that we drew the Crime, but it's fine enough. We'll get the Zen Admin here. We'll trigger the effect, pay 600 life points here. We'll go ahead and get out the Foxy Tune from hand. And then actually I would go Sharon effect here, just so if I can bait anything with it. Again, we're just going to assume like we're playing against notification. So we'll go Sharon, discard the Miru, and then mill 3, which is Hoffins. Oh, and Chang-Chi. That's very nice. So we'll go ahead and do Hoffins effect here. We'll bottom deck Hoffins and the Merely here. Do I bottom deck? It's fine. It's fine. We'll bottom deck the Merely. We'll go into a Kit Talos here. We'll go Kit Talos effect. Now, we already have the counter trap in rotation, so we don't even need to add that. We can add Solic just to be safe, I guess. But we also just search like a Merely and just have it in hand. I think I probably prefer that over searching Solic, so that's fine by me. We'll go into a Foxy Tune effect. We'll pitch Dark Ruler. Dark Ruler is doing nothing, going first, my bad. Special summon the Deer Note here. We'll go into a Chaos Ruler. We'll go Chaos Ruler Chainlink 1, Deer Note Chainlink 2. We'll actually target the Foxy Tune here. And we'll go ahead and mill 5 to Hoffins' 4 and 5. That's not bad. We can add Hoffins here. Yeah, we add Hoffins to hand just so we have it. Now we can trigger Merely effect. We can bottom deck Kit and Merely. Go into... Yeah, we probably do that. We go Merely effect, bottom deck himself and Kit. Go into a Dragus Tapelio there. Now we got a negation up. Now we'll go into our zombie vampire. This is just so we know what deck they're playing. We'll go effect detached. Let's say they mill 4. Let's just say they mill like 3 droplets and a dark ruler. Why not? Just don't show what their deck is playing. We'll go mill 4 here. Mill Uni, Solic. That's insane. Super Poly and E-Telly. We'll get the Uni here. We'll go Solic effect here to search a Terra Element, which is insane. I guess, have we normal summon? We haven't even normal summoned. Nice. We'll get Rhino Heart there then. And then we can go like Uni effect. We can like pitch a Mizuki just so we have Mizuki in rotation, which is fine. Yeah, we'll just do that. Targeting Sharon is fine. We'll go ahead and pitch a Mizuki just so we have it in rotation. We're about to get Plague into rotation by going into a Halka Fibrax here to go into a Plague Spreader zombie. Now, we do need the Sharon, but we do have the Rhino Heart. Okay, we have a normal summon, so we don't need the Sharon anymore, actually. So we'll just go into a Link 4 Apolloza here with 3 negations. So I'll put 3 counters just to signify it. Now we'll go Chaos Ruler effect here. Special summon himself out, banishing Chang-Chi, which I know I milled. There it is. Banish, and we have Foxy Tune in rotation, so we'll banish Foxy. Summon out the Pega Ruler, and then we'll go Chang-Chi, banishing the zombie vampire to special summon himself back from the banished area. We'll trigger the effect of Chang-Chi here. Go ahead and make ourselves a... Just mill Mizuki is fine. Again, we're not playing a big package here. So we can go... Now we can go banish Mizuki, special summon Plague Spreader. Go ahead and go into a Baron de Fleur here. And then we'll go Mizuki again in Graveyard, banishing himself. And we'll go ahead and special play, go Plague and Chang-Chi. And Chang-Chi actually gets bottom deck from this. Go into a Savage Dragon. Go Savage, get a Halka Fibrax, and gains 2 counters off this. And then we do need to get a Terra Element in rotation. So we'll go Rhino Heart effect. We haven't triggered... Which one have we not triggered? We triggered Hoffins. We triggered Merely. We haven't triggered Sharon. So we'll mill Sharon here. And then we'll go ahead and do Sharon effect. We'll bottom deck himself and Rhino Heart. I mean, I don't necessarily need to do that. We'll just go ahead and make ourselves a kit. And we'll go no affected kit. We can go... That was probably actually a dumb play. Because I can go... Save that. Special. I can mill 8 here. But I don't think there's a point. Just... That milling 8 is just so I can get snow into rotation. So I actually probably just save this, right? So I don't do this effect. So I just keep this on field. And this has to be on the bottom because technically we haven't shuffled yet. So we'll just bottom. So we'll mill the Sharon just so we have... do we even do that? No. I don't even think we do that. I'm fucking this up. I'm fucking this up super badly. But let's just say we'll never activate it, so we'll just keep Chang Shi at the bottom there. So we just normal summon Rhino Heart, no effect, just to play around the most stuff. And then we set the crime and we pass. Now this is a nice end board. You got the Apollosa with 3 negates, Baron with an Omni Negate, a Savage with 2 counters, which is an Omni Negate per turn. You got the Dragon Stapelio, and then you got the Rhino Heart to keep your crime live. And now during your opponent's turn, you can go like crime effect, just negate like something like Dark Ruler, go into that, and then we can go merely affect bottom self himself. Sheeran and Rhino Heart here go into a Kaleido Heart here, and we can do like Kaleido Heart target. If this ever gets sent to the graveyard, we can mill. Very nice. We also have Hoffins as well, which is nice. So we go like Hoffins effect special. Nope, didn't mean to shuffle, but it's fine. Mill 1, 2, and 3. Sheeran, yep, Sheeran we haven't triggered. We got Sheeran effect, bottom self deck himself, and like a Hoffins is fine. Just summon like a Kit, which like does nothing but just sets up a monster, I guess. I guess that's the only reason why you triggered Hoffins, is just to have a snow. And then Hoffins was a backup just in case you didn't have the counter trap or anything. Again, very, very decent board to have, and that is it for the video. I took so long to make this video, but I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more content on the channel, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.